I was told this was an apple picking weekend, and now I'm sitting here talking about how Vanderbilt beat Alabama. I was going to try to do a video with all the upsets labored into just one big video, but I just found myself wanting to talk about this game right here and how did it happen? This isn't, in my eyes, the biggest upset in college football history. I still think Michigan App State is really up there. I still think Texas A&M and App State is really up there. But I think the notion behind number one Alabama in the context of them beating Georgia, not only beating Georgia, they were up 28-0 at half, was in dominant fashion, looking like the Alabama dynasty had just continued. And then they have to go play little old Vandy the following week. Yeah, it's an away game, but you had Nick Saban basically tell people, yeah, this is probably the easiest environment to go win football games in. And if you listen to the broadcast, you just hear it's more Bama fans than Vandy fans from what it sounded like. At least from what the broadcast was saying, there was a lot of Bama fans there. So was this even really an away game for Alabama? Yes, in the context that they were playing in Vanderbilt Stadium, but it's not like there was a home environment to be worried of. And so how did Vanderbilt pull this off? That's what I find so interesting to me. As I watched the game, I reviewed some things. I mean, yeah, I could sit here and point out statistics. I could point out a bunch of different things, and I will point out some of them. For example, 38 minutes. What 38 minutes am I talking about? Time of possession, folks. People talk about it all the time, and it's not just because they love talking about time of possession. They love talking about it because they controlled the game. They controlled the clock. Bama was not on the field because when Bama was on the field, even though there were some turnovers, Bama was still being able to out-athlete Vanderbilt. Ryan Williams was still being able to make plays that shouldn't be done by a true freshman. So Alabama continuously was still able to out-athlete Vanderbilt. I believe it was like a 4th and short. It was a 4th and 1 in their comeback attempt to finish the game right before Vanderbilt got the last possession. And it was like a reverse jet sweep type of action. Basically, you had Jalen Milroe going one direction, and then he just dumps it back to, or like tosses it back behind him to Ryan Williams, and Ryan Williams just out athletes. Like they're just more, better, faster, bigger, like whatever you want to call it, whatever adjective it might be. Bama had that advantage everywhere except for in the trenches. And that's what I'm showing, because this is not the normal graphic I would show. You would have some wide receivers up here. You'd have your secondary back here. But that's not where Vanderbilt won this game. It wasn't in the back end, though they did have some explosive plays. But I think the reason why those explosive plays happened was in the front seven. It just was. And if Alabama was in a 4-3, I apologize. I'm just putting a 3-4 just to show for what I'm talking about. It still matters because we're talking about the outside edges. Containment and discipline is not what Alabama had today. And if you just give one team just an ounce of hope and a couple of turnovers to go your way that turn into points, and you play a sound game, because the reason why Bama lost this in one word was being undisciplined. Undisciplined, that word right there, that is why they lost this game, because not only was there turnovers, not only was there flags, but these edge defenders right here and right here were not being disciplined in an option offense that absolutely torched them, because you do not get, good Lord, you do not get 38 minutes of time of possession if you're not able to be efficient on third down. And I think before the game ended, there were like 10 of 18 on third down against Alabama, which is seen to be unheard of. Just drop the cap. And because of the option offense, who forces so much movement to go one direction. For example, what I just tried to show you was trying to go outside. There's the shovel pass, and then you have Diego Pavia, who was a dog. If you didn't know who he was before this game, I feel bad for you, because he was a dog against Virginia Tech. This is the same Vanderbilt team that lost to Georgia State, I believe, or Georgia Southern, one of the Georgia schools that isn't University of Georgia or Georgia Tech. You have an option. Diego takes it in. He could shovel pass it to the middle. You could shovel pass it to the right, and it's going to force everything to come this way. So how does this work? Outside of just, it's an option offense, you try to make the best decision that you see in front of you. This guy right here and this guy right here, whoever was playing those positions, were not being disciplined at all. They were either biting, and there also probably wasn't any supplements to potentially scrape over the outside and try to contain these options. And what Vanderbilt did so well, and what the broadcast continuously talked about, because it wasn't just like they were running a naval option offense where it's just like at the center of the line. Yeah, there were some like interesting wishbone formations, and there were some go-go option offenses, which if you have not seen the go-go offense, I'm not explaining it right now. That could take a 20-minute, 30-minute, hour-long video in of itself. I'm sure there's something out there about Brennan Marion and what UNLV does, but it wasn't just that option offense, because not only was Vanderbilt, yes, with a shovel option being able to get a first down, it was the fact that, say this was the 1st and 10. Let's do that. You have Vanderbilt fine with first down, they get that. First down, they get that. Now it is about 7 yards to potentially get the first down on 3rd down. This is not where you want to live as an offensive coordinator. But Tim Beck was, though that I don't think it's something that's sustainable, worked against Alabama because they were basically lulling everyone to creep up to the line, get a little bit closer, maybe blitz here. And this is exactly when someone like Eli Stowers gets open. It could be Eli Stowers on a crosser. It could be Eli Stowers on an out route. Quick little fun fact, Eli Stowers, former quarterback, still learning the position, made play after play after play last week. Former Texas A&M quarterback. I believe a more fun fact in that regard was someone that Jimbo Fisher had wanted over Jalen Milroe, who is potentially going to Texas A&M because Jalen Milroe is from the Houston area, a hotbed for Texas A&M recruits. Just a little fun fact. I could have some of them mixed up, but to my understanding, that's the story of Jimbo Fisher going with Eli Stowers as a quarterback to bring in from high school instead of Jalen Milroe. Now he is a awesome tight end for Vanderbilt, and he just continuously made play after play after play after play. And that's where they lived. They were so content, Vanderbilt, and what I'm talking about was with chipping away and then taking a shot downfield, and it was able to work because the secondary would also creep up. There was busts on the secondary because what Alabama thought they could do was send heat, or once they got to a 3rd and long, put pressure on a guy like Diego Pavia, who is notoriously known at this point from every interview that he's done about him just being poised. He can't be shaken. He can't be rocked off of his game. We're talking about a guy who was a huge inspiration, or Manziel was a huge inspiration for him. You know, at the end of the day, I could talk about all these different things with the schematics and why Vanderbilt was having so much success and all these different things, because I know it's not super technical. I know if a football coach is watching this right now, they're not like, you could be doing this in a much more simple or much more effective way. But I'm more just talking about what players on the Bama's defense were causing the biggest issues against a Vanderbilt offense that was trying to just basically lull this team to sleep and then take a shot downfield, and it was working. And when you're able to continuously get 3rd downs and achieve them, and it's first down, and you're able to just take the clock away from Alabama, an explosive offense, an offense that has Ryan Williams, Jalen Milroe. Yeah, they had 2 of their wide receivers go down to injury. I understand. But at the end of the day, you're freaking Alabama. You're Alabama. This is not a game you lose. You are a 3-touchdown favorite. I don't know if it was 21, but I heard 3-touchdown favorite on the television screen. 21 points is what you were supposed to beat Vanderbilt by after you beat Georgia. This cannot happen. You cannot have 2 turnovers to be paired with a 20-point differential. That makes all the world of a difference. And not to mention you're undisciplined with flags. You just can't do this kind of stuff, guys. This is not what I think Alabama would have lost to. I thought Alabama would lose a game like this because their offensive line wasn't good enough. Maybe it was a sack. Maybe it was that Jalen Milroe threw like 3 picks. Like, I thought it would be a different way. And this was just a masterclass by Tim Beck. Remember the offense coordinator, I believe it was New Mexico State is where he transferred from, Diego Pavia. This was incredible. He talked about how many times he watched the Texas A&M versus Alabama game in 2012 and how inspirational he is. It is the reason why he plays college football and why he watches the sport was because of Johnny Manziel. And now a team like Vanderbilt, who was 0-60, I believe, won maybe. I remember the dash in there. 0-60-1 against top 5 programs. 160-1. Number 1 Alabama goes down. Let me know your guys' thoughts. I know this is the first video with the whiteboard. I like it personally. I'm going to try to make it as clear on video as possible. You're probably seeing me a lot more zoomed in right now. I'm going to try to work with the camera a little bit more and the lighting right there. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk football with you. We're so close to 1,000 subs. It was a goal of mine going into this year. I've been working at this project since 2019, this channel, and 1,000 subs has been a goal of mine for so long. So genuinely, if you want to give me an opportunity to talk football with you, it would mean the world to me. So thank you so much for watching and have a fantastic day.